Mobile first is an approach to web design where you start designing your website with mobile users in mind. But why should you care? Because going mobile first in 2025 will save you time, money, and it's just the smart thing to do. Here's 5 reasons why. Hi, I'm here to help you make the web a better place. Let's jump in. One of the biggest reasons to go mobile first is that people use their thumbs to interact with their phones. It's just the way it is. Using your thumb allows us to reach all 4 corners of the phone. And when we're holding our phones like this, we can reach most of the screen area using our thumbs. This means that if you have something important that needs to be clicked on or interacted with, it needs to be within thumb's reach. So what does this mean for your site? Well, it means avoiding horizontal scrolling and placing critical items towards the top of the page. Let's look at some examples. A lot of sites opt to have a horizontal scroll to view their navigation. While this looks nice on larger screens, it isn't very thumb-friendly on mobile. Instead, consider stacking your navigation or using a hamburger menu. Hamburger menus are common enough that users expect them, so you don't need to feel bad about hiding your navigation behind one. Now, some sites like Pinterest choose to ignore this advice by making users scroll horizontally to see popular pins. This may work for them, but they're also adding extra functionality to make their scrolling experience more thumb-friendly. The same goes for having your logo or brand in the upper left corner. Many websites do this, but the problem is that the upper left corner is usually out of thumb's reach. When holding your phone vertically, if you have your branding in this area, you're forcing users to awkwardly shift their grip on their phone, or worse, turn it sideways. This is especially awkward on smaller phones where the side bezels are almost non-existent. Instead, move your branding into thumb's reach. Lastly, avoid forcing users to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. If you have something important at the bottom, it's likely going to be out of thumb's reach. Instead, bring that item closer to the top, keeping in mind other thumb-friendly considerations. Moving on to reason no. 2. Going mobile first forces you to simplify your UI. Mobile devices have smaller screens than tablets or desktops, which means you have less space to work with. When designing for mobile, you'll need to remove any unnecessary elements from your UI. This means looking at each element and asking yourself, does it add value? If it doesn't, consider removing it. A great example of this is removing large headers. Take a look at this page from Apple. They have a large header on desktop, but they strip that down to just their logo and navigation on mobile. That's because on desktop, they have the real estate to showcase their latest video. On mobile, they don't. Instead, they prioritize showing users how to get to the content by reducing their UI. And let's take a look at this site. On desktop, there's a ton going on in the header. They have multiple calls to action, navigation, search, and their logo. On mobile, though, they strip it down to just navigation and search. Everything else isn't necessary on such a small screen. Instead, they move those elements below the fold. Lastly, going mobile first helps you focus on your content. You might think that content isn't important, but trust me, it is. People read 20% more text on mobile devices than they do on desktop. That's because people are often reading on their mobile devices while commuting or waiting in line. They want to read as much as possible in the time that they have available. This means that you should be prioritizing the hierarchy of your content and ensuring that it's readable. Things like headings, subheadings, and digestible paragraphs help users quickly scan your content to find what they're looking for. Now, let's take a look at an example. On desktop, the text is split between 2 columns. While this works on a larger screen, it doesn't work so well on mobile. The user has to scroll left and right to read the rest of the content. Instead, stack the content and focus on creating a single column layout that's easy to digest on mobile devices. Going mobile first also helps you test on real devices. It's tempting to use a laptop to preview your site during development, but that can lead to some nasty surprises once your site is live. That's because a laptop screen is much larger than most mobile devices, meaning you won't notice certain issues until it's too late. Going mobile first forces you to develop and test on real mobile devices. And if you don't have access to a bunch of different devices, you can use a tool like Browser Stack or Device Mode to virtually test on hundreds of different devices. Last but not least, going mobile first helps you leverage common mobile design patterns. If you've ever used a mobile device, then you've no doubt come across common design patterns like hamburger menus, infinite scrolling, or swipe gestures. These patterns exist because they're intuitive and easy to understand. They also save you from reinventing the wheel. Users expect certain things to happen when they tap a hamburger menu, so you shouldn't surprise them by doing something unexpected. Instead, you should be leveraging these patterns to communicate effectively with your users. Let's take a look at some examples. Instead of implementing a custom pagination scheme, you could just use these common dots to indicate which page the user is currently viewing. Or instead of reinventing the shopping cart, you could use a familiar icon and position it in the expected location. Lastly, if you need to display data in a list format, consider using a common pattern like this one. Not only does it look better than a basic unordered list, but it's also easier to scan, allowing users to quickly find what they're looking for. That's it. Those are my 5 reasons why you should be designing mobile first in 2025. Hopefully, this guide helps you get started. But remember, just because something is designed well for mobile doesn't mean it's ready for production. That's why I've partnered with a company to offer a free performance review of your website. You can find more information below. Lastly, I want to send a huge thank you to all my awesome supporters for helping to make this video possible. Supporters also get access to a weekly podcast where I ramble about web development and design. You can learn more about that and support the channel by heading over to a website. That's it for this video. As always, I hope you've learned something new. And let me know what you think about mobile first, down in the comments below.